Oh shit, speaking of not making sense, we're live. Goddamn. Alright, I didn't have this going for 10 minutes, but what's up, sports fans? Coming up on this episode of the Sports Syndicate podcast, we are talking UFC, NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and of course, James Harden and the Sixers with two of my good brothers from other mothers from the tri-state area. So please stick around as this tri-state death triangle gets rolling and the Sports Syndicate podcast starts. I don't know, Nick, what do you think?
Now.
I'm Alshon, the same day they signed Tory. The Smith beside me, yes. My wrist is shiny, yes. At all times, catch all signs. Shots fly, no Anakin. Olive Garden wrapped outfits, I ramekin. Fucking breadcrumbs turn breadsticks when that text spit. Cause that marinara is so cute. Safety off, you ain't Joku.
All right, and just like that, we're back and we've regrouped from a random live start that we weren't ready for. Shit. Welcome, everybody. As you probably know if you've watched this shit, I am the man that bleeds Kelly Green, the South Philly Psycho, the one and only D.O.M. And I am joined, as always, by my main man, South Jersey's finest, Nikki. And tonight, we are happy to be joined by someone who you've probably seen in our live chat, which we appreciate the hell out of. The man behind who is a part of Fighters First. He is a tremendous podcaster. He is an MMA analyst, a football fan, an overall sports guy. He is my man. He is Dan the man. What is happening, my friend?
Yes, he finally found someone that rhymes with man.
Not too much. Just like Nick, I'm another South Jersey guy, so makes this talk of the Philly sports a lot better.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Always great to talk Philly sports with tri-state people.
Yep.
Nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. But speaking of tri-state people, I'm going to turn to my right-hand man from South Jersey, and I'm going to ask Nikki to kick us off with the first topic, and let's just get this shit going.
Dun, dun, dun. So as you guys know, Troy Aikman is no longer with Fox. He's now with ESPN. There's been a lot of shakeup, Dan. I don't know if you heard about this, but NBC, it's no longer Al Michaels, and it's Chris Collingsworth. God save us. And I'm assuming Mike Tirico. So Mike Tirico, Chris Collingsworth. But what's really interesting is ESPN. They've been trying to ramp up for years. We're going to get Peyton Manning. They got him with his brother, but it's not the usual Monday. It's their own. Help me here. It's their own. I don't know, broadcast. They do it themselves. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what's the deal here? Who's going to come in for Aikman? Who's going to replace Aikman with Joe Buck?
Whatever will Fox do without Aikman and Buck?
Yeah. So CBS is good, right? They have Tony Romo and that one guy. What's his name?
Shit. Jim Nance.
Jim Nance, yeah.
The voice of the Masters. Going to the grave, 17th.
It's so funny because he's so calm and collected and formal doing golf, and then football, he's just a whole different animal. You got to love it. And
to mention Amazon, they're ramping up too. The rumors are maybe it's Al Michaels, maybe it's Tom Brady. But it's going to be – it's kind of sad, but it's going to be interesting. It's sad because we're losing Al Michaels. And, Troy Aikman, as much as we are, I mean, look at the background. Sixer, Philly fans. He was a good commentator, in my opinion. So, I mean, let's throw it up. Let's talk about it. What do you got, Tom?
The one that hurts me the most, man, has got to be Al Michaels because he's been covering football since – I started watching football and I was a baby psycho. It's been like 30, 35 years. And
but
I was hoping.
I don't think he's done.
I don't think he's done either. But if he is, I was not ready for that. I was hoping maybe they'd find him a better partner because I can't stand Chris Collinsworth. Yeah. I don't know anybody that can. Yeah. But I really can't stand Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah. What about you, Danny? What do you want to see?
I miss the days of Al Michaels and John Madden. They were a great
Yeah.
duo.
Oh my God,
And
yeah.
it sucked when Madden retired. Of course, he got
Yeah.
up there in age. He's the guy that made this different ball game for these former coaches and players
Yeah.
uh, that left and then went to the broadcast booth. He put the focus on everybody on
Yep.
the team, not just a quarterback, running back, or the offensive
Yeah.
line. So like I see his move. I kind of saw the move from Aikman. Like I thought he was going to go to ESPN and
Yeah.
go to Monday Night Football with how much they needed help, plus the fact with everything going with Fox. Like Fox, I feel like with the baseball likely going on a year-long strike, I feel like it was
Yeah.
going to present less opportunities. I actually think that Buck might make the move as well. I think he's going to make a
That's what I
move
heard.
over as well. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's interesting to see what they do now. Like, who do you put with who? Like you said, you
Yeah.
got Romo and Nance. I think they did a
That's
good
right.
idea. I think
Yeah.
Drew Brees was doing Amazon last year. I think he was the
Oh,
one doing
okay.
Amazon last year. It was like
Huh.
a combination of him and Romo
Yeah.
going back and forth with whoever else that they had on there with the Tarico.
Yeah.
And then, like, I want to see some more balanced out teams
Yeah.
too. Like you already got Nance and Rowan, like I said, but it depends on who goes where. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Like I'm not sure. Like is the Aikman thing official? Like I know he's leaving, but is he going to
I
CBS?
thought it
Is he going to
was.
ESPN? Like I heard both. I heard he was close to going to ESPN, but that could be. They might not even be finalized yet. I would prefer him on ESPN because
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had heard, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's a done deal yet. Um, I'll be honest, guys. I don't even know who. I think it's Steve Levy and somebody call him Monday Night Football because
Yeah.
I usually watch the alternative with the Mannings on Monday night.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit who's calling the game because if they keep doing the Mannings on Monday night, that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
tune into.
I think it's Brian Greasy, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
Brian
you're right.
Greasy, and I think a former GM. Used to be a player.
Louis
But-
Riddick.
Riddick, yeah, Riddick.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's who it was, and I like Riddick.
Madcap
He-
Moss.
He used to be
And-
involved with the Eagles. That's how I remember.
and he's been in countless interviews for GM
Mhm.
jobs, and somehow gets passed over. I do hope he gets the one that he's
Yeah.
looking for right now. Like I know he did the Steelers and somebody else last week, but if he
Yeah.
doesn't, I think you keep him. I could see a situation where they just keep the Monday Night Football as it is. Like
Yeah, it's not that
Riddick,
bad.
Riddick. I think it's Riddick, Greasy, and Levy.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
doing it, and then Aikman would wind up pairing with Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football.
Oh God.
Like I love Aikman because he, even though he played for the Cowboys, he's been unbiased with
Yeah.
his calling of games. It's just that
True.
Collinsworth has been to me an issue at times with how he does the commentary, and you
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of have to overwork it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that work with Al Michaels that I really appreciated. Like you mentioned, Madden, that was one of them. Him and Dan Deerdorf when I was younger, he definitely worked well with Al. But like Chris Collinsworth, oh my God, you are worse than Dennis Miller, my friend. Get the fuck out.
So apparently, right now, the news is that Fox is going to try and replace Aikman with Drew Brees. They're trying to trade for Drew Brees.
Okay.
Okay, I can
Huh.
see it. I mean, Drew did great. Like
Go.
Kof, what's happening, homie?
Oh,
Dirty Heels.
we
Dirty
live.
Heels.
We live. Kof, you got to get on. Come on, bro.
I love that Kofi shows up and he's got no interest in what I'm talking about. He just shows
Yep.
up because we're here.
He's
Yeah.
just like, they're live. I gotta go. Comment.
Yeah, it's just like, oh shit, they live. I gotta go see what's up, and I always appreciate that, Kof.
Appreciate you, Kof.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, baby.
That's my guy right there.
I'll say this: ESPN. I enjoy Levy. I think he's the voice of my childhood when when ESPN was good. So I dig that. I
don't
dig
do
that.
sports. I just listen. I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I think Al Michaels loves doing football, but I don't think he likes to do that schedule every Sunday. I mean, how many times was he out this year? A good amount of times. So,
Yeah.
and I think Trico you know, he did great with Gruden. He did great with ESPN. I think he's great for NBC. So I do see Al Michaels. I don't think the power play to ESPN. I don't think that's what he wants to do. Again, that kind of schedule. But he wants to do something. Maybe Amazon does a week. You know how they do every other week or something along those lines. So that makes sense to me. But I feel like we're giving 10 minutes too much to this topic. I just thought, I would bring it up.
No, we're good.
Yeah, and then another point to that, we got to remember that Amazon's trying to buy the rights to Sunday Ticket. They're trying to add to the package. It's right now. It's between Amazon, Disney Plus, and there's another company's trying to buy him out.
Probably Comcast.
But probably Comcast. But I think Amazon's the leader for Sunday Ticket because that package ends at the end of this year.
And that's DirecTV.
Yeah, with DirecTV, but DirecTV's still going to own. DirecTV's still going to own the rights to like I think commercials or something like that. But the rights to the actual direct to a Sunday Ticket is going to go to whoever they sell it to. And I think Amazon would be a perfect thing for them, and then to get a commentary team that's just for Amazon every week to build that platform.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah.
All these companies pay your damn taxes,
right?
Sorry.
We'd be getting bigger stimulus checks if you were paying them taxes.
Back to you, Dom.
All right. Well, I know Dan had glossed over it a little bit, but I guess we go to baseball next because the commissioner just announced that since they're at an impasse with the Players Association, they're going to cancel several series to open the season.
What?
I'm apparently we're going to miss some games, obviously, but
yes,
I think
as Dan brought up, do you think we're going to get like an entire year without baseball, or is this eventually going to get worked out? And if we and if there is no baseball, is this like the end for MLB in general?
I think from what they put out, he put out that they're making strides with the conversations, but then you had several players that come out, and then they're like, "Oh, that's news to me. We're far in negotiations." I felt like a couple of years ago, the players are the ones that kind of caved in, and they wound up playing in July, and they're like, "Okay, we're caving on this time, but next time you got to work with us because we're making all this revenue, and if you look at it, the players aren't even making that much. You do have the players like Trout and Vladimir Guerrero. You got all the pitchers, all those top tier players. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh yeah,
Bryce Harper. But then the average player or the player that's just getting called up, they're not making that much. It kind of reminds me of the UFC with how the pay scale has been an issue for a few years. This is the same thing, and all the players want is to get paid more, to have for them to share some of that revenue coming in, because the owners, the management, and everything else, they're making a lot of money just off the players, and the players should be making more than what it is now. Like I think it's like 30% to the 70%. It should be 50-50 at least with how the players are doing. And then they're trying to make it seem like they're making things better by let's finally add the DH, which the players have been asking for like 10, 15 years for. Okay, we're doing that. Okay, we're gonna bring this back. And like they brought interleague play in 4 times for a reason, because the players wanted it. And it's just like I think the big deal is who they have as the commissioner. He's not a baseball guy, in my opinion. He doesn't know what the players want. Like it's all about the money for him. And now you've seen it. 2 years ago, we had the lockout / COVID. They're lucky enough to play last year. This year, you're going in. They're far enough in talks. Like I have a feeling we're not going to get a season, because I don't think that they can land another season where you lose games, then at some point you're going to get a thing where they're like, okay, we're going to lose the All-Star game now. That's more revenue lost. And it doesn't hurt the commissioner, owners, or the television deals because they already get their money up front. The only people that are going to lose are the players, and the players are going to be okay to not take the money because they can go elsewhere. You saw that thing with Bryce Harper talk about the Tokyo. Like you got players that are going over there and knowing that this was going to happen and playing over in Japan. Like I see a situation where the season's going to get canceled. ESPN's going to jump on the Japanese league. They're going to start broadcasting those games again like they did 2 years ago. And that's why I see a situation where I think I could see Joe Buck going to ESPN and calling Japanese games until the MLB come back. It just makes sense for me.
Calling games from the Tokyo Dome and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I heard the biggest issue was the amount of dollar dog days. They didn't have enough for each baseball team. So that's the big issue here. No, I'm just messing with you.
Sure,
can't get enough of those dollar dogs.
Yeah. To be honest, I think we're going to be okay. I mean, how many times, Dom, do I say this? You put your business cap on. I think both the players and the league, they want to play. They want to make the money. The past 2 years, they've made not as much. I don't know how much, but I know they've been struggling. So that's an issue. I see it ending very soon. I just, as much as I, think that this could be an issue longer down the line, I think right now it's all about money. Let's get that money, and that's what they have to do. So, I mean, I did enjoy the Japanese games. They were really fun. I really liked that. I think they should do more of that, but I need me some Bryce Harper, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we could all use that.
I think I said a couple of days ago. I was on one of my weekly sports podcasts that I do during the weekend. I said it coming into this is that they messed with something that didn't need to be messed with, and that is the old school style of baseball. They thought that they needed to fix things, so they added all these rules with the bullpen speeding up the count. And they're adding robots now. They're trying to do everything to make the game better. When in reality, there was never anything wrong with it. It was America's pastime for over 50 years for a reason, and they just messed with something that was already good. And what happened? They made it worse. They really people not want to come to the game because of the changes. They wanted to speed up the game, which was the only thing that was wrong. Was they're saying a game lasts so long, 3-4 hours, and then there's 162 games. You should have just left it as it is. All you had to do was add the DH and then add interleague play, and that's it. And I felt like they killed the game to the point where now they're getting all this backlash and all these issues with the players and the fans, and it's creating this mess that shouldn't have happened to begin with.
Yeah, true. I mean, this has to be probably the worst time for baseball to start canceling games and worrying about strikes, because when you think back, like 2019, they barely had a season and it was riddled with COVID.
Yeah.
And then 2020, they still had some issues, but they managed to work it out, get a season in, get to go off with, no real hitches. People were interested again, and now you're going to go away. You concede so many things to the players, but you don't want to pay them. Like, oh, we won't test you for steroids. Well, okay, but what about like some of these, like Dan said, what about some of these low-end guys who are making like nothing?
Yeah.
Like, what about them? Like it's one thing if you're Bryce Harper, you've got a $300 million deal, but if you're one of these, developmental guys just came up from AAA last year, you didn't make a lot of money, and you ain't going to make any right now.
Yeah.
So the next thing you know, people are jumping and running to Japan, and all of a sudden that's where it's at. Yeah. And that's where ESPN is going to go. That's where viewers are going to go. That's where players are going to go because they have no alternative. And this isn't like if you're an older NBA player, I don't care if it's like Marbury or Amari Stoudemire, where you go overseas and you can still make money and you can still play. and probably get paid just as well as if you were in the NBA to have, even though you have diminished skills because you're that name and people want to see you there.
Yeah.
This is the thing where baseball is huge in Japan. If these players come, they're going to make a fortune. They are going to get the chance to play. And when the season starts, they don't have to come the fuck back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you want to come back now? Well, sorry, I'm in a playoff run in Tokyo. I'll be over here.
Yeah.
And just think of it. They play it at a time when no other sport is going on in the summer other than like combat sports or wrestling. There's nothing else going on for the most part. So that's where they make a lot of the money, being the only thing happening for that 3 or 4 month span. And because that's going to happen, you got a situation where you're going to see these networks scrambling to fill the time.
Call it pastime because it's boring as hell.
And that's why you're going to get a scenario where you're going to get all these changes where, like I said, Japanese baseball could be something seen. You can see ESPN moving. They got like MMA, like UFC and PFL. You got them, which usually they're on ESPN Plus. They might have to move those over to the
flagship,
TV, the flagship, just to have something shown in that time, because you're not going to be.
You're going to be showing like Minoru Suzuki throwing out the first pitch.
You know what boggles my mind too? Everybody's trying to be the alternative for NFL. Everybody's trying to be the alternative for Sixers. Where's Major League Baseball? Where's that alternative? Because that would be so powerful right now. Like, we want an alternative. As much as, you know, we love the Phillies and we love Bryce Harper, I feel like if there was a bigger, you know, maybe not more successful, but, you know, a minor league team, but a minor league organization that was right there. Because we talked last week about the Atlantic League. That's like below single A, even though it is its own organization. I think that's what's, you know, maybe there needs to be an
don't you talk down on the Iron Pigs. I'm just saying.
Maybe there needs to be an XMLB. Maybe Vince, you know, did the wrong thing there. Maybe it needs to be extreme where you peg them instead of walking them. You peg
I don't even want to know. I don't want to know his rule changes to baseball. I don't.
It just sucks that you got this big league where you got all those farm systems, and because MLB is shut down, it shuts down everything.
It trickles right down to everything else.
Where it's like maybe you just put the focus on AAA, but then it's like, okay, like you can't use any of these players as it is now. Like it's killing the game. It's like, come on now, just like I'm okay with the players doing what they're doing because they deserve that chance to fight for what they want, because they caved in before. It's just that I feel like these owners, or I should say the commissioner, aren't doing anything. Like, I've been watching basketball, and I'm like, Adam Silver has those players back. Like, he's always constantly making like reports weekly on the game. He's trying to do things to better the game. Even Gary Bettman, who's been crucified, him and Goodell have been crucified in the past. They're trying to at least do something. But then you've got Manfred, who really he doesn't say anything. He puts out a thing the other day, but it's kind of like vague with what he's saying. Oh, we're making talks. We're closing in. I've had this. We should be getting this done soon. But then right afterwards, the players are like, no, you're not. We don't need any of this.
Honestly, it doesn't matter if like you're the Players Association or you're the owners. Like, when it comes to the people involved in these strikes, they're all turning to the farm system and just collectively saying,
sorry about your damn luck.
There we go.
You're out of a job too. Sorry, we're over here fighting, so you can't work.
Yeah. I just
put that dream on hold, homie.
You know,
it's funny to me that you got these rich prick owners and you got these athletes who make so much money bitching and moaning about what I want, what we want. What about us? You know? Where's that sound effect? Give me that sound effect. What about me?
I wish I did.
Yeah.
What about me?
Yeah.
What about Raven?
We don't give a shit. I mean, we bust our ass every single day. You know, like, what do they do? You know, they have an off season. Okay, I'm going to get better.
I pay for my tickets. Where's my results?
It's a bunch of bullshit, you know? So
it is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
All right, Nikki, I think we've discussed this misery long enough. What's the next topic you
How
got
about
for us?
something for Danny Boy?
Ah, yes. Why not something for Danny Boy? Yeah, we brought him on. We brought him on with us. Let's give him something.
Before I ask the question, if I'll just bring it up, Cain Velasquez. All right, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Do you blame him? I mean, like, what do you got, Danny?
Well, here's a question I have. When it first came out, and they just announced that he was going to jail, what was
Yeah.
your without even giving out the details? What was your reaction to that? And then the second question is, what was your second reaction when you actually found out all the details about what happened?
Oh
Yeah.
wow. I didn't know he had questions for us. Okay.
because that's the thing there, because they came out with one thing and then you're like, holy shit, what the hell did he do?
Yeah.
Why is he being a dumbass? But then when they actually 3 hours later actually
Yeah.
bring out all the details, then you're like,
Yeah.
now do I feel like an idiot? Like with
Yeah.
everything.
I mean,
My
honestly,
first thought-
go ahead, Nick. My bad.
Yeah, my first thought was, why is the headline read former WWE wrestler? I'm like, dude, come on.
One match.
Yeah.
One match,
Yeah.
what is it, Crown Jewel? One match with
Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
you had like 1 3-minute match with Brock Lesnar. That does not make you a WWE superstar.
No.
Before cutting him for cost cut.
You know what it was?
Right.
Though? It was all the wrestling publications. That's how they,
Yeah.
that was their headline. But
Mhm.
ESPN and CBS, it said, former UFC writer, or former UFC fighter, not writer. And
Nobody writes the UFC, Nick. It's a
Yeah.
different sport.
Dan, I don't know because
That's why I brought Dan, by the way.
Yeah, because I don't know the entire story. So, do you know the entire story? Because all I thought was, oh shit, this is serious. Because I didn't read into it.
Yeah, well, first, of course, you hear the story that came out, and that Cain Velasquez chased down a guy and his father, and then went after and shot the father. I don't know how injured or if he actually hit him up or not. Then he got arrested. Then it came out that the reason he did that was because a couple of days prior, they arrested the man because he apparently his mom was working a daycare where Cain Velasquez's son was going to, and I don't know how they found out, but the guy was abusing Cain Velasquez's son or trying to molest him. One of those two things. He got arrested, then got released on bail. I mean, without a bail, like he got released right away. So it's like Cain found out. Cain went into rage mode, and I guess he found the guy, chased him down, thought that his father was the guy, shot at his father who was in the car with him, and then got arrested. And you start to see all these little backstories of it going out. Like he could go anywhere from 20 years to life in prison.
Yeah.
But then you got all these fighters that are coming out in support of Cain, like two guys that train with him at AKA, Daniel Cormier, Habib Nurmagomedov, and Luke Rockhold came out and said the three of them had said that we'll see when all the details come out, but they're like, wait, we got our guys back. We know he's a great guy, yada, yada, yada. Like he was protecting his family. And then they're like, what would you do if that was you and you just reacted to it? I think the only thing he did wrong was chase after the guys. And then, of course, shot the wrong guy. But,
Well, there's the wrong.
There's the wrong. Like, I think he was just in a moment of rage, found out this happened. The court system in California let the guy go, and he just had a moment of breakdown and just was so mad that he made a dumb mistake. And thankfully, I don't think the guy died or anything. I think it was minor things. He just went after and shot him.
Well,
it's just a situation where I'm like, what would you do if that was your son and you went through the same thing? It's I hope his lawyer team or management team it plays that out and uses that in court, because it's going to be hard for him to not get time for this unless he has
Yeah.
like a great motive of what happened and just pled that he was just out of his mind at the time, plead insanity for the
Yeah.
during the situation. It just
Yeah.
sucks for him.
I
With all
mean,
of
I'll be honest. When I the first thing that I got, like, caught wind of it, I got like an ESPN notification that said Cain Velasquez was arrested for assault and attempted murder. And my first thought reading that was like, what do you know? Another MMA guy assaults somebody. Like, this has happened time and time again over the past few years. But then as I started to read the details, like you were talking about, and if you ask the question, what would I have done? I'd probably do the same damn thing that Cain Velasquez did. I mean, but again, I'm a psycho, so that maybe that's just me. But if somebody was doing that to my child and I found out and I went to confront the dude and he ran, I'm chasing him. If I'm chasing him and he jumps in a car and I've got a gun, I'm probably pulling it. I don't know if I'm shooting the guy's dad, but up until that point, I am doing absolutely positively every fucking thing that Cain Velasquez did. And on a side note, what's going on, Ivan? Good to see you back. You're an MMA guy too. Get in on this. But I hope that people, whether it's the jury or the judge or whoever, see the circumstances of this. I don't know if the kid actually admitted to what was going on. That would probably help considerably because, you know, that at that point, if someone is touching your child like that, whatever you do in response should be completely justified.
And apparently this was going on for a while. Like, this wasn't a thing that happened once or twice.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, he tried here and then went in. This was something that was repeated.
He was abusing him many times until he finally got caught. And it's like, and I think that's what sends Cain over the edge. Like,
I don't know.
I could see him getting pissed and then just being like, okay, lock him up if it was like a one time attempt. But when it happens many times, that's something that can scar his child for life or for a long time. And then that's what makes a father like him just react the way that he does. He's like, you just scarred my child, and now you're getting away scot-free. It's like, it makes you do something that you don't want to do. Like, I'm not going to say I would never do it, because I probably would have.
I know I would have. I'm not even gonna lie, but and it may be like an unpopular opinion, a hot take. You can call it whatever the fuck you will, but I mean, even the dude's dad getting shot, that just feels like karma. Like, you made this person, he's doing this, you took that bullet.
Yeah,
justified.
It's just weird that a UFC fighter shoots someone. It's like, what? You fight for a living, but no. I mean,
but he couldn't pull a takedown on the car. You know, he couldn't like roll it over on its hood and like pin it down. You know, like do something. So he pulled a gun.
And he's one of the nicest guys too outside. Like all the fighters say, this is a nice guy. They interviewed Junior Dos Santos, who, of course, we know has appeared on AEW a few times. Came out and he was like, we had a rivalry when it came to being in the octagon. We were foes, but outside, he was like, we were good buddies. We talked quite a bit. He's a nice guy. He was like, I know if that was my kids, I would have reacted the same way. He was like, I hope the court system has pity on him for the situation that he was in.
You know, Ivan's right. I mean, it's a sad situation all around, but you know, I honestly, you know, just knowing the details of it after that, it was one thing when they said, oh, he got arrested for this, but when you find out why, you go, man, again, if that were me, I'm doing it too. And you could put me in jail. I don't care. I'm going to be the most popular person in jail. What are you in here for? Oh, I shot a guy because his son was molesting my kid.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the most popular man on cell block. Enter the name here.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Nobody's gonna fuck with you, is what I'm saying. Like the guy that was touching Kane's son, if he goes to jail, he's dead. If
Yeah.
Kane goes to jail, you got all those guys that like might want to take a shot at him because of who he is, but then when they find out why he's there,
Yes.
they ain't gonna touch him.
Yeah, that's like a universal thing with like anybody in jail, out of jail, anywhere.
Yeah.
Is that like you have no excuses for dealing with somebody like that? That's just something like a red flag thing where there's no excuse.
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. I'm gonna give you guys a fourth wall break, okay?
Okay.
At age 18, I ended up going to jail for a similar situation. I was at a graduation party. We had a dude at the time who was old enough to buy us beer.
Yeah.
You know, we were having a great time. One of the guys that showed up to the party showed up with his younger sister because he was supposed to be babysitting, and we had no idea what to do with this little girl.
Yeah.
So we just stuck her up in my friend's parents' bedroom. We set her up with like food, drinks, TV, whole nine. We said, if you need anything, come find me or come find your brother. And we went back to the party. Now later on that night, I'm going out. I'm outside the house because I'm about to have a smoke. You couldn't smoke in the house. So I'm standing there with my cigarette, and before I can even light it, I hear something going on around the corner. When I come around the corner, here's the dude that bought the beer on top of my friend's little sister trying to make her do things she don't want to do. So I ripped the guy off, and when he tried to run away, I chased him down, and I beat the living shit out of him, and he had me arrested for assault and battery. When I walked in there, what I did not know was the person that was the lead guard on that cell block they put me in was that little girl's father, and he had told everyone what I did. When I walked in, I was a fucking legend. And no lie, eventually I got to court. She testified. My record was expunged. I was let out because we couldn't afford bail. But while I was in there, anything I want, I just be like, "Yo, I need an extra cookie," and somebody would drop a cookie on my plate. Like I was a king.
Hey, yo, bend over.
I don't know why, but that
shout out to Chester County Prison while I'm at it.
That reminds me of that movie Training Day, like a coincidence, like you just said, coincidence that the guard was the father, where in Training Day, where Ethan Hawke's character winds up saving a girl from two guys that are trying to assault her.
I seriously thought they got that from me. I really did, because this happened in like the early. I was 18 in like 1998. You know, so long before.
Yeah, and then he sees her, and then she goes on, and then it flash forward later on in the movie. You see him at that Mexican's house being held up because of Denzel's character. He leaves. He's about to die, and then you see the girl come in and confess that he's the one that saved her, and he's like, "This is your lucky day. If this was any other person, you would be done. But because you saved my daughter, I'm gonna let you live." And just you telling me that, like that coincidental shit.
Can I be mad at Cain Velasquez for what he did? Not really. I damn near did the same thing, and look at me now. You know. So Cain, you got a good chance of beating them charges, homie. Stay up.
No wonder you're the South Philly Psycho.
It ain't just a nickname. Don't give me flashbacks. No, boy.
Hey, yo, kid, bend over.
Nah, man, none of that.
Don't drop the soap.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. I had no worries. Nobody wanted it. Everybody was like, man, this kid.
Yeah.
I can't believe. People were like, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
I was like, I had to do something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just going to be like, oh, as you were, and go around the corner and light my cigarette. Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what's Ivan saying? If he was in the state of Texas, it would have been different. But he did shoot the wrong man. He should have beat the man instead. But it sucks that he's in this situation.
Yeah.
Man might be serving 20 years if found guilty. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I hope you beat that.
It's not about pity in the court system. It's about guilty or not guilty. And
somebody said it right.
As much as he is, you know.
Oh yeah, but that's me. All you got to do is create. All you got to do is create that reasonable doubt to get a not
Yeah.
guilty verdict.
And the glove
And
fits.
this dude was molesting my child. There's your reasonable doubt.
Where's the Bronco?
How's the guy that it was assaulting his son gonna wind up getting less time than him?
Than him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
he killed a guy. Let's be honest.
He lived.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he lived.
Yeah, he lived.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
The sentence won't be. The sentences won't sentence. Well, whatever. It won't be that long. It can't be. I mean, come on. He's an everyman. As much as he did wrong, it's not gonna. I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass right here.
This is where he needs to.
Yeah.
This is where he needs to use his millions wisely with his legal team.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. I mean, it's a tough situation, but I'm with Kane on this one. Like,
Yeah. Well, you and Kane.
I'd have done it. They can put me on the jury. I'm gonna be like, not guilty.
Yeah.
Take all $5 million that you got from the WWE before they cut you.
Exactly. Take that Saudi money and put it into your lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't mean to laugh, but it's just it's that part. That part is definitely funny. Like, I'm paying for my lawyers with blood money. It just feels right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, good luck to Kane. I mean, I hope despite him shooting somebody. I mean, yeah, that's wrong, but I still hope he gets off. I really do.
It just baffles me how such a nice guy and he's going through this, but then you got a guy like John Jones, who's on his like 6th, 7th, 8th life.
Yeah, he's like I'm on my 58th second chance now.
It's gotten to the point where they inducted John Jones into the Hall of Fame. He's in Las Vegas for no more than 10 hours before the last incident that he had where he assaulted a cop. That happened 10 hours into him being in Vegas for one day. One day.
And I'm pretty sure he was like, I only assaulted the cop because he caught me with hookers and coke.
And he's been caught several times using steroids. I think 3 or 4 times being for driving drunk.
Yeah.
Now 2 times with this. That it got to the point where Jackson Wink kicked him out of the gym in Wisconsin, and that's why he had to go to Jackson Wink in Arizona and start training with Henry Cejudo and down there. And it's been 2 years since he moved to heavyweight. He hasn't made a debut yet, and he probably won't anytime soon. It's just like this guy.
I still remember how hard they pumped, how hard they pushed that Daniel Cormier rematch. Yeah. And like right before the fight, he got popped for like coke and steroids, and he was out. And they had pushed it for months. I was like, "Oh, you!"
And then the first 2 fights, he tested positive for steroids after each win.
Of course.
After each win, yep.
And it's just like
this
guy could have been the best ever, and he probably right where he should have, but he keeps getting
still considered.
Yeah. It's just that the trouble is going to overshadow all the greatness that he's had, and then he's only fought twice in the past 6 years. It's like, in all that time, he could have won so much fights in that time frame. He could have fought like 8-9 times, been 7-0, and then his legacy would have been like one of the best. But he has killed his legacy. He's still going to be considered one of the greats, but like this is going to kind of knock it down a bit. And it's like this guy has all the chances in the world. Just because of the money he was making, but then Kane, who was doing something.
I mean, he's like the UFC. He's like just trying to draw something. He's like the UFC equivalent of Barry Bonds. Yeah, like tremendous record, Hall of Fame talent, big ass asterisk.
Big ass head too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that too. I was going to bring that up.
Dan,
you're right.
You make a great point there. I mean, this guy can't get straight. I mean, he has so much money. Yes, being an addict, being addicted to something is really tough. Yeah. But look at Kane. Like you can't compare it. You can't compare it. And those people are on Kane's side, and it's like
I can't remember their names, but there was that UFC fighter that almost beat that porn star Chris Christy something to death a few years ago.
The hell
Had her
you
name
watching?
tattooed on his neck and everything. And
Was this on Pornhub?
It was it Mike Perry
it might have been. It might have been.
where he
I
beat
can't remember.
I know he beat his wife, and then he just then he left her, and then
Yeah.
That's me when you,
now he's with somebody else, and then he came into one of his fights with only his girlfriend as his ring girl, and then he was able to pocket all that money.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like it was. I can't remember who it was, but you hear a lot of that, like, you know, MMA star or UFC guy who beats the crap out of his wife or his girlfriend or something like that. And so, and those situations, you're like, oh man, that's horrible. But then when you hear about Cain Velasquez's situation, you're like, all right, this is different. This isn't your typical MMA. Oh, somebody beat the shit out of somebody story.
Yeah.
This is.
Was it War Machine?
War Machine. That's it. Thank you. He tattooed his name like this big across his neck.
It beat Christy Mack.
Christy Mack. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I remember that forever ago. I was watching like Real Sport or something on HBO, and they brought up this whole thing, and then they brought up a slew of people that had done similar things, and I just couldn't remember the names. But like usually when you hear something about an MMA fighter getting in trouble, they've assaulted their wife or their girlfriend. And you know, this guy almost killed a fucking porn star. You know, like it's ridiculous.
He's in prison for life now.
Yeah, and he deserves it. Well, Cain Velasquez, on the other hand, is a completely different situation in my book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you got a lot of people over there in California that are saying that the court system there is too light with people, and the situation that the court system kind of failed everyone by letting the guy out so easily. Like if you find out that he did this, why did you let him go and not have to pay bail? Like, they let him go. He didn't have to pay bail or anything. Yeah. It wasn't like he had to pay like a $50,000 bail or anything small. He didn't have to do anything. They just let him go.
They just let him out.
Like, what was the reason? Like, what was the reasoning for letting him go? Like, that's something that you should, if you're going to let out everything else and then why everything happened, well, at least give us the info on why he got let out with no bail.
Hey, if the glove fits, you must equip. You know how it is.
That's a different trial, homie.
This ain't West
That's a way different trial. Even Kane's situation is better than OJ's. Now that you brought it up.
This ain't no Gold Dust and Roddy Piper.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, Nick, what's the next topic you got for us, buddy?
I have no clue.
You have no Always rely on that co-host, man.
I only had two, man.
I'm about to say, I do know he
there we go.
With Harden and how he's looked.
Oh yes, we have got to talk basketball, but in general we have got to talk Sixers and this James Harden experiment that was unleashed the last 3 games. I mean,
no fat suit.
Now remember, this is the Sixers coming out of the All-Star break with a win over the defending champions without Harden, without, a few guys. And then they come back with Harden. They play the Timberwolves and the Knicks twice. Now, I know they're not the best teams in the world, but they're not exactly the worst either. Like, I had kind of said the Knicks are done, and then in our last episode, and then the next day, RJ Barrett scores like 46 points and they blow somebody out. I'm like, okay, maybe they're not done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were hard-fought games, but in the end, I mean, not only did the Sixers win, oh, God, put that picture down. He does not look like that anymore. I don't know where the fuck you got that. Look like Robert Traylor. That ain't even James Harden. Damn.
Robert Tractor Trailer right there.
But, I mean, it was definitely cool to watch.
Yeah.
It was definitely fun to see. And not only did the Sixers win these games, I mean, they won them like beat down fashion. They beat the Timberwolves by 30 in Minnesota. What? Then they turn around, they beat the Knicks by 16 in New York.
What?
And then come back to Philly. And even though they were down in the first half, they had this amazing turnaround in the second half. Yeah. I guess they just wanted to have some drama to see how they respond.
Did you hear the story behind halftime?
No.
There was a
No, go
story that
ahead,
came
man.
out. Of course, you know that Tyrese Maxey had 4 points in the first half.
Yeah.
Came out in the
Oh,
second half
yes.
and had 21 or 24 points in the second
Didn't
half.
James Harden grab him and say like, "Hey, man, are you gonna play today?" or some shit
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Because he's been
Get me
working
a
with
Big Mac.
Tyrese Maxey since he got to the team,
Yeah.
even when he wasn't playing. Like I brought that up
Yeah, you
in
did.
the last episode against Milwaukee, where like they had a timeout and everybody came to the bench, and James Harden like stuck his arm around Tyrese Maxey and he's
Yeah.
pointing things out and he's giving him all this stuff about what to do on the court.
Yeah.
And when it came out of the timeout, all of a sudden Tyrese Maxey went off for like
Yeah.
14 straight, including an end one where the Bucks coach calls the timeout.
And
And when
then
Maxey comes back to the sidelines, James Harden is like standing there going, "That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you."
And then he also went to Georges Dang and was like, "Yeah, you only shot a couple of threes. You need to shoot like 10 threes."
Yeah, like you need to
And
shoot
then
more.
you need to shoot more. Then he wound up going 5 or 10 from 3.
Yeah,
And
like I'm
with
gonna get
more
you the
shots, yeah.
opportunity. Shoot the damn ball.
Yeah, but they've come in since Harden's been there, and I think 2 things. One, it's bad when fans are kind of straddling to find things wrong with the team when they're complaining about Tobias Harris not scoring 20 points. And
I'm okay with not 20, but those first couple of games he played, I think he shot a combined like 2 for 15. That was fucking unacceptable. James was getting him wide open looks and giving him to him in good spots, and he was missing everything.
You go into the game against the Knicks in New York, the game against in New York, he was 1 for 3 in the first 3 quarters. Some people are like, "Oh, his shooting sucks," blah, blah. I'm like, the dude only shot 3 times, and then between Embiid, Maxey, and Harden, they shot almost 40 times. I'm like, somebody's going to take the hit for these on the team for these guys taking the shots. And it's going to be him. And then what did he do? In the fourth quarter, he was the most productive in the fourth quarter of that game. He had 11 points. He finished with 11 points.
Oh yeah, in the game in Philly.
No, in New York, he made clutch baskets there when the game was close in the fourth when Embiid was off the floor, because usually with how
I'm sorry, you got him mixed up though. Like in New York, he struggled, but when they came back to Philly in the fourth quarter, that's when he turned it on.
Well, I mean,
because he ended up in that game, he was 5 for 10.
Girls.
He was 5 for 10. He had 14 points in the home game against the Knicks. But the 2 prior games, he shot a total combined 2 for 15.
Well, if you look at the Knicks game in New York, he had 2 points in the first 3, but then he had 9 points in that last quarter at Madison Square Garden, where like he actually was the guy that was being clutch in that fourth quarter. And I'm like, if this guy's not gonna get 20 points, because I can't expect 4 guys to average 20 points on this team, if he can at least show up when it matters, like
that's what I mean. I need him to have that game. I need him to have that game that he had in Philly. He shot 5 of 10.
Yes.
He had 14 points. He managed 7 rebounds. He had a couple of assists. Like, he did his job. He was in foul trouble too, so that limited his minutes a little bit. But if you can come out, hit half your shots, put up 15 or so points, get the team involved, crash the boards, that type of thing, and then let these guys go off, that team will be unstoppable. Because I was going to say, to me, it feels like, they set up the big 3 coming in as like, Harris, Embiid, and Harden. But so far, it's been Embiid, Harden, and Maxey. Because Maxey in these 3-4 games, he scored 3 games. He scored 100 points in those 3 games.
Yeah. If you look at how the team is you take Maxey out, put Ben Simmons in, the team's going to play better defensively. But then he always gets 5 on 4. They leave Simmons wide open, and he doesn't shoot the other team doubles Embiid, so it leaves Embiid having the workhorse for points.
I'll be honest.
You switch out. You switch out.
I don't know if you guys. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but I kept saying over and over again, you are never going to have a championship caliber team when 2 of your starting 5, with like Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle, can't shoot. Like they both play great defense, but neither one of them can shoot.
Well, have you noticed that Thybulle has done a little bit better since Harden
Yeah.
has added
Oh
the
yeah.
team,
Oh yeah.
which has kind of he's given him more opportunities,
Oh yeah.
and then which is nice. But
That's,
it's
I mean,
like,
this last game he was in, he killed it. I mean,
yeah,
he only had 10 points, but he was 4 or 6 from the field, and he was 2 of 3 from downtown. You never see that with Matisse Thybulle.
yes.
Ever.
Yeah.
And then a big difference with the team is how many times. Well, two things. Embiid was averaging 26 shots a game.
Mhm.
That has gone down to only 17 or 18 shots a game
Yeah.
in his 3 games. He's not having to do system overload,
Yeah.
overwork himself. He
Mhm.
can give up some of that shot to which coincidentally,
Oh yeah.
Harden's only averaging 12 to 14. It's Maxey
Oh yeah.
shooting more. And
That's what I was
now,
gonna say. Somebody
which
tell me
plays,
James Harden is selfish and takes too many shots. He's averaging like you said, 12 to 14
yeah.
shots a game, and he's scoring over 25 points.
And then the other point that goes along with that is the foul line between Embiid and Harden. These two
Mhm.
guys are averaging to the line, going to the line more times in the 3 games than half the teams, 4 teams do. Like
Yeah.
that's how much of a big difference.
I was gonna say that's why Embiid's shots have come down, because he,
Yeah,
even as much as he was going to the free throw line before Harden, he's
yeah,
going even more since he showed up. That Knicks game in New York, I think he took like 27 free throws.
yeah.
That was more than the entire Knicks team at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys pretty much said everything I was going to say, so I'll take it a different direction. I'll look at it as a fan. Dude, it was so exciting. It's so
It really
exciting
was.
to watch this team succeed. I mean, it's just, and we're not done yet. It looks like he's trying to get some, we're going to get another, we may get another player in this, and I think that would be something necessary, because like you guys
Oh
said,
yeah.
as much as it's good to share the ball, they need to put up more points, and I think someone being there would help.
Thank you, Maddie Daddy. Brett
Yeah,
screwed
yeah.
Brett. Are we talking about Hart or Brown? Because Brett Brown screwed
Yeah.
himself. But Bret Hart, I don't know.
Yeah,
No, it's amazing to watch. And then I think you're talking about how they're possibly pursuing DeAndre Jordan, because he got
Yeah.
waived.
They got waived
And
today. They're actually pursuing him and Kent Bazemore.
Yeah.
And noted that Bazemore might get released by the Lakers too, because they brought in DJ Augustine. So
yeah,
they I don't think they feel like Paul Millsap can be the backup center. I think he could be a
No.
backup power forward for them, but I think they want to bring in a viable
Yeah.
backup center who can
well,
rebound.
they had
And-
signed
Yeah.
what's his name, Willie Cauley-Stein, to a
Yeah.
10-day contract. But he just didn't. He didn't seem to be the right guy to back up Embiid. And obviously,
played-
losing Drummond does hurt in that aspect. And I
And
like
who-
Paul Millsap. At least he's getting to play. Lord knows
Yeah.
on Brooklyn, he was a healthy scratch every game.
yeah,
And what better guy to know DeAndre Jordan than the head coach who coached him on the Clippers?
Exactly.
The perfect
On all
guy.
those great Clipper teams, absolutely.
And what he doesn't need to score. It's rebounding and blocking shots and coming
Defense,
in
yeah.
10, maybe 13 minutes a game. That's all we need him for.
Yeah, just giving Embiid those breaks. Definitely not
Yeah.
putting him in the fourth quarter, because we know he
Yeah.
can't shoot a free throw. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, spelling Embiid, locking down on defense, grabbing rebounds, maybe a couple of putbacks here and there, kind of like
Yeah.
Drummond did.
Yeah.
And it's something that the team still misses, and they're trying to address it. So,
yeah.
and even Kent Bazemore, I think could be a good quality bench guy on the team.
I think that's all they need to work out with is the 6-7 guys, 6, 7, 8 guys off the bench, because we're not
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
much production out of them scoring wise, and I don't want them to have to rely so much on the starting 5, aka the starting 3, to where the bench does nothing. I want like
Exactly.
a bench where we can take one of the guys out and get 5 to 10 points out of one of the guys off the bench.
Exactly.
Even if the other 2 have an off night, at least one
Yeah.
can have an
I mean, I
off
think
night. It's just
Shake
better
Milton
for the
will Shake Milton will improve because I know he's coming back
Yeah.
from a pretty serious back injury, and he's still working his way back into shape and getting his shot back. And
Yeah.
you saw a few things in these Knick games with him where he had his moments, but
Yeah.
so he'll get better. But they definitely need something towards the end of that bench to help improve when these guys come off. Because like Doc Rivers said, they're using a staggered system where either Embiid or Harris or Harden are going to be on the court at all times.
Yeah.
You know, maybe of course all three to start, but like they're not going to pull all three and just go to their bench at any point because they don't have the depth. So it's okay, we'll take Embiid out, we'll let these other two, or we'll let James take a break, and then we'll stick with Harris and Embiid, or we'll get two of them off and leave Harris out there. And I mean, it's not a bad strategy considering the team, but then when you get through the rest of the season like this and you get into the playoffs like this, then you've got a rundown team going up against top-notch teams week in and week out, and it's win or go home, and then you might have a problem. You know, it's definitely going to be interesting to see the upcoming Sixers games because, like, they've got the Cavs tomorrow, who are right behind us in the playoff run.
By the way, Durant came back tonight.
Yeah, Durant came back for the Nets, and then right after the Cleveland game in Philly, they have to go to Miami the next day and take on the Heat, who are number one in the East. So. Yeah. These next couple of games, I know it's soon for this Harden experiment and all that, but they're going to show a lot, as far as, okay, the team looked good, but the team looked good against sub-500 teams who are, they have their talent, but they have their struggles. Now what happens when you get into these playoff caliber teams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these next two are almost more exciting and definitely more important than these last three.
And we got, like I said, Durant came back. He has 20 points right now. The Nets are beating the Heat right now by like 15. But we got to see how they do because that's the other side of the trade. Like, and I thought it was funny. They came out and said that Ben Simmons is dealing with a back issue now, and he might not play until the last two games of the season.
Where did the back issue come from? Sitting on his couch?
Did you see the press release that they put out to fans in Brooklyn for Ben Simmons to make him feel welcome, make him feel like he's been there the whole time, to kind of root for him? It's like, to me, that's like a sorry excuse to try and make sure that he doesn't feel unwelcome, to try and get him.
Come on, everybody, like him.
Yeah. Get him to want to play for the team, act like he's been.
Get him to come here. We need him.
But they're gonna get the usual out Durant. Like I hate the fact that we traded Curry, but it was a necessary thing to bring in Harden. Drummond is on only a 1-year deal, so he likely won't be back there. So it's like it kind of was like we only gave up a couple picks. Curry, who has a year left after this year, and Simmons hasn't even played at all this year.
That's what I mean. To those people, whether it was like Bruce came on the show when it happened, or even the people on like ESPN who said the Nets won the trade, I want you to go back and look at your homework because something's wrong there. Like you can't say they won that trade when they got Seth Curry, a couple of picks, which if you listen to Stan Kroenke with the Rams, like fuck them picks, and the guy who will not play, because Nick and I caught a lot of flack when we brought up Shaq's comment about Ben Simmons' mental fortitude, not his mental health, and what if it really is just him using that as an excuse. And then all of a sudden he goes to Brooklyn and the mental health is good, but now my back hurts.
If you look at the two guards that they have, one can't play at home because of COVID, because of the not being vaccinated, and the other has all these excuses about his back, his mental health.
The other one can't play because a year ago when his team got bounced from the playoffs, somebody said, "Can you win with Ben Simmons at point guard?" And Doc Rivers' response was, "I don't know."
Like, how are you going to sustain stability when you have one game where Irvin's playing on the road when he can against the Bucks? He scores 38, and they come from behind and beat the Bucks. Then the next game is at home. He can't play at home, and then they lose a game they should have won because they didn't have anybody here. Then you come to this game they're playing a team in the Heat. They get Durant back. He has a good game. It looks like they're probably going to win this game, but you don't get Irvin there. You don't get Irvin and Durant on the floor at the same time
Yep.
to gel together to learn to play with these other guys like Drummond and Curry.
Yeah.
And then you don't have Simmons there on top of that. It's like if they had all those guys at once, maybe I'll say it's like a 50-50. I could see because then you truly have all 5 guys playing at the same time. But there's so many what ifs with that Nets team.
Beyond,
piece wise, where it's like, are they ever gonna play at the same time? Probably not, because you're gonna go into the playoffs. They're the 8th seed right now, fighting to move up. There could be a scenario where
they could be in the play-in tournament if things keep going this way. Like, and luckily KD's back, so I'm sure that'll help. But they could end up in the play-in tournament. Like,
there's a scenario which I hope it happens where the Sixers could wind up moving up to the 1 seed, which this Heat loss helps, and then the Nets could be the 8, and we could play the Nets in the first round. And it's like you're not gonna have Kyrie for every home game at the Barclays Center. So it's like you're gonna have to rely so much on Kevin Durant at that time. That you can game plan a little bit differently.
So I mean, it's all I know is the Sixers will be playing the Nets a week from today on my birthday. So I'm hoping
that's even better.
I'm hoping my birthday present is we beat the living shit out of them with Ben Simmons on the court. That would just be icing on my cake. But at least for now, I am definitely feeling the Harden situation. He looks like, because the Sixers had brought in a couple of people who specialize in hamstring treatment and rehab and that sort of thing, and it looks like it's helped him. And if he was out of shape in Brooklyn, you can't tell in a Sixers jersey. I don't know if that red is slimming or not, but he looks damn good. Like, like he's out there, he's moving, he's handling the ball, he's attacking the basket. He looks like the James Harden of 3 years ago, who was an MVP candidate. Not that, as Nick put up. I don't know where he got.
I've noticed when he's happy, he plays out. But when he's not happy or he's in a situation that he doesn't want to be in, like he does this thing where it's like, that's on. Like I'm either hurt or I don't want to be there. Like
I eat because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because
I eat my feelings.
Like in the Thunder, for the Thunder, he had that big 3 that they had there. He wanted to start. He felt like he deserved to be a starter. He was never going to be a starter with Westbrook there. He gets traded to Houston. I felt like the worst move that Houston ever made was trading Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. I felt like Chris Paul made that team better, and I felt like Harden took Paul for granted, and he realized it later on afterwards, and that's why the Harden Westbrook experiment lasted 1 year. So then Westbrook gets traded to Washington, and then now he's on the Lakers.
I think Harden wanted to come to Philly all along.
Yes.
Because there have been reports that when he was leaving Houston, like his top destination was Philadelphia. They sent him to Brooklyn, which immediately made him unhappy. But when he looked at the team around him, he thought, okay, cool. And then he started to realize what a lot of people watching the Nets realized was, like, they brought in an all-star team from 6 or 7 years ago with Blake Griffin and Paul Millsap and LaMarcus Aldridge and all that. And a lot of these guys are not on that level anymore. And then all of a sudden Kyrie can't play, and he's out there by himself when KD is hurt, and he's hurting. And now he's just fucking miserable. And he's like, I didn't even want to be here in the first place. So they sent him to where he wanted to go.
It's not even that. He came in, he's like, okay, we got a good team here. Like, we got me, Durant, Kyrie. You got a couple pieces, Joe Harris. You had,
and even he's banged up this year.
Yeah, you had Spencer Dinwiddie on the bench. Karis LeVert.
Dinwiddie.
They had him.
They're all gone now.
Yeah. The first preseason game, Dinwiddie tears his ACL. He was out for the season. Durant never stayed healthy. Like, he missed time. Harden missed time. Kyrie missed time. They never truly played together.
Yeah.
And then it got to like a point where they made the playoffs. Kyrie was already out. Harden was playing through a severe injury, which he was playing at like 60, 70%.
At
And
best,
then
yeah.
Durant was laying it up. So it was like, okay, we did this good. We came a total length away from beating the Bucks, from knocking out the Bucks.
Yeah.
So then they
Even
go
as
into the
bad off as
season.
they were.
So then they go into the season, and the whole talk was like, oh, it's Irvin and Durant's team, and Harden was like, I'm on this team too.
Again, what about me?
Yeah.
You know?
And there was all this backlash. Joe Harris gets hurt right away. Durant got hurt. Kyrie
Irving
had
can't
this hurt.
play.
Kyrie had this whole thing with the vaccination, and the team backed him up, but then the team didn't really back up James Harden. So then James Harden was like, I went to this team just because like they kind of conned me into coming here because the team that we had the potential, and we're losing with this team, and the potential is being wasted because of injuries. And then he saw the team all along, the Sixers. Embiid's been able to stay healthy. They had Tobias Harris. They had Ben Simmons, who they wanted to get rid of. They had these pieces there, and it made for. And then, of course, the big thing is Daryl Morey, the guy that brought him to the Rockets,
to Houston in the first place. Yeah.
He knows James Harden, and he wanted to bring him here all along. And then it was just 2 for 2. It was just a matter of having it happen. Because it was like they knew they wanted to make the trade, and then the Nets wanted to trade Harden. It was just a matter of getting the right pieces worthy of making it official, and then they did. And now you see the bat suit released. You see him happy.
Yeah.
I thought the best thing was not using him right away. I thought having him sit the 2 games, go into the break, have at least 2 weeks of practice was the best thing for the Sixers and Harden, because he was able to learn the team, help Maxey out right away,
and
a little bit with Embiid, and then get going.
Yeah, and like I said, they didn't use him right away because they also brought in specialists to work with his hamstring.
Yes.
And get him to a point where he felt comfortable again, which is something that even he admitted he hadn't been for a long time, especially this season. And you can see on the court, like it was all a wise move. Like bringing him in was a wise move. Letting him sit till after the All-Star break and work with these guys, and go to shoot-arounds or stay after with guys like Tyrese Maxey and show them a few things. It's all just worked beautifully to this point. I know it's only been 3 games.
Yeah.
But this is the best I've ever seen Tyrese Maxey. Like
by the way,
Joel Embiid, who was an MVP candidate before Harden came in, is a lock as far as I'm considered.
Lock it down.
As far as I'm concerned.
By the way, I spoke too soon. It's the fourth quarter. Miami went from down 14 to up 7.
On the Nets.
In the fourth quarter, a 21-7 run.
Wow.
To start the fourth. So now the Heat are beating the Nets.
Damn it, Jimmy Butler, I miss you.
Yes. But I think with how they're using the pieces on the Sixers now, it's like I think the big thing is you don't have to have a guy that's overworking things. It's kind of balanced the way it's like 15 shots here, 16 here, and Harden, you could get 12, 13 shots, but you're going to get to the line 10 times. So it's going to be you're going to get your points regardless.
And not only that, I mean, his second game, he has a triple-double. He's the first Sixer to ever score at least 25 points and have 15 assists in a game. Think about how many legendary Sixers there are. Yeah. Nobody's had that game before the beard. And this is game 2.
And then he almost had a triple-double last night. He
didn't mess around and had a triple-double last night. And so, he's obviously productive. He's working with the team on and off the court. He looks good. That team around him has responded. Yeah. And I still think there's room for Tobias Harris to kind of find his fit and grow into this starting lineup with him and James and Joel and Tyrese and all that. And you started to see a little bit of it in the fourth quarter. And you'll definitely see more as they stagger and they leave Harris on the court all alone. He's going to, create for himself a little bit more. He's going to take the smarter shots. He's going to get comfortable.
He's going to have the biggest adjustment. That's the big adjustment is him. And with going from getting all those looks to trying
going
to
from being
utilize
like the next guy in line, because behind Embiid it was Harris, at least this year.
Yeah, it was always
Behind
supposed to be.
Embiid,
He was always supposed to be number 3 because it was supposed to be Embiid, Simmons, then Harris. But
yeah,
because of the whole Simmons thing, it kind of bumped Harris up by default to 2.
mhm.
And everybody says, "Oh, well, you're paying him
Well,
$180
yeah,
million dollars. You're overpaying for him. You
you probably
overpaid
are.
for him. You overpaid him because of his production. Like
Yeah.
you can say what
And
you
that was
want.
one of the reasons they brought Doc Rivers
Yeah,
in as well, because when Harris was with the Clippers, he was an all-star.
yeah,
And Doc was his coach. And then he came to Philly and he never quite, seemed to get to that level again. So they brought Doc Rivers in thinking he could help him, and he definitely did last year. He
yeah.
almost got him back to that level, and this year he was off to a decent start. But now he's going
Hey,
from
yeah.
I'm the second guy behind the MVP to I'm like the third and sometimes fourth option behind Embiid, Harden, and Maxey.
It's crazy that people complained about him, and he was still averaging 20 and 8. Like,
Yeah.
if you told me we were complaining about a guy who was averaging 20 and 8, and he wasn't your top option,
Yeah.
I would have been like I don't care how much you're paying him. Like, you might be paying him a lot, but
My
he's
response last
producing.
year was simple. Look at Ben Simmons.
Yeah, like this guy's.
You want to complain about somebody's money? Look at Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
He's making more and not even playing, where this guy is at least producing for you on the team, and he stays healthy. So it's like at least he's going to get you something. Ben Simmons has gotten you nothing this year, and he's getting the next nothing right
and
now.
He barely did nothing. And he barely did anything last year. Meanwhile, Harris was averaging 20 and 8. It's like if you want to complain about a guy, complain about the guy that's making more money and giving you next to nothing.
Yeah.
Not this guy.
And
this guy got his paycheck because this guy sucks. There's your problem.
And now you bring in Harden. Do you hear this guy complaining about shooting less now? No, he's saying nothing. He's trying to be like, okay, I know I'm going to have less, but I'm going to do what's best for the team. I'm going to scale down what I do, but I'm still going to try and get production out of this. I'm here to win.
And that's the thing.
I'm here to win, not individual stats.
It works for another show that I do, so I'm going to use it here. The old phrase "less is more." Because Harden isn't taking as many shots. He's not throwing up the volume he's throwing up, but all of his production has gone up since leaving Brooklyn. I almost said Jersey, since leaving Brooklyn. He went from averaging 22 points with the Sixers, he's averaging like 26. He was averaging close to 10 assists a game, well above with Philly. He was averaging 7 or 8 rebounds, almost 10 with Philly. Less is more with this guy because he doesn't need to be the guy.
Yeah, he's just being the floor general. That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
and that's
what's comfortable to him.
Yeah, and that's what I think allows Maxey to be Maxey, because he can play off the ball and be a shooter that's getting the ball from Harden and find open spots and driving the lane. Something that Simmons wasn't doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's shown.
Honestly, though, have you seen some of these like step back threes that Maxey's been shooting in the last few games? If that's not James Harden, I don't know what the fuck is. Like, that's that man's trademark move, and he taught Tyrese Maxey how to fucking do it in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. It'll be interesting with the bench. I think, Dan, you brought it up. I think there needs to be something done, and I think there will be something done. But like I said, you guys have been talking. You said everything I was going to say. It's
you're going to have guys, and you're going to have guys that want to come here now and play because of this.
That's a good point too. Yeah, just like the whole Harper
absolutely.
Thing. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's good to be a Sixers fan.
It's definitely good to be a Sixers fan right now. I mean, you can ask me at the end of the season. You can ask me next week on my birthday. Maybe I'll say something different. But as of right now, it is good to be a Sixers fan.
Let's just hope Doc can keep it together.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that. But Doc's a good coach. Yeah. Doc's a good coach. He's dealt with many teams that have had many egos, whether it be like Boston with the 3-party or the Clippers team with Blake and DeAndre and Chris Paul. And he's always managed to keep those teams together and get as much out of them as he possibly can.
Yeah.
He does very well when you have a roster there already set with stars. Like I think Maxey is like he's a thing of his own, because you had guys here he's learning on the go with this team already here. But usually, like I think of the same thing as like Phil Jackson. You get a guy, that coach, with players already there, he's going to succeed, and you've seen it everywhere he's gone. He might have only won a championship with the Celtics, but you saw the Clippers go from nothing to something with them there. And now you're seeing like the Sixers going from like a team just making the playoffs to now you got this roster that is NFL Finals worthy now. Like, and I see, I think getting Harden in a year where there's no true number one team. Like, you got the Suns, who are great. Chris Paul's out until at least the playoffs now. So yeah, you had the Warriors, but the Warriors have kind of fallen off a little bit. They don't know how they're going to do with Klay Thompson being back, and the Nets were supposed to be a contender. They dropped off because of injuries, trading Harden and Kyrie not being able to play every day. And then the one team that I'm worried about that doesn't get talked about is the defending champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're like, you got all this talk about like the Nets, Sixers, the Suns, all this. The Bucks can kind of squeak under the radar.
Beat them all.
That they've also lost to them all too on
games. That's what I mean. Like, I want to give the Bucks all the credit in the world because like nobody's talking about them, but they beat the Suns, they beat the Nets, they did all that, and yet the Sixers walked into Milwaukee and beat them without Harden.
Well, just this past weekend, I don't want to play a team like the Bucks in the playoffs because defending champions, no one's talking about them. That's the best motivation for a team like that. But then they go.
That chip's going to be like.
But then they go the next day and lose to the Nets without anybody. They lose to Seth Curry. That's and what's his name? Drummond. They had big games and they came back and beat the Bucks. So it's like, what Bucks team are you going to get? This is like, and that's why I said this is the perfect opportunity for the Sixers to capitalize now on the Harden trade and try and get all these pieces and go for it now. Kind of like the Rams did in the football. They went for it now. Like, you can't think about
like when you
future.
Look, you're absolutely right though. Like when you look at the Eastern Conference, like the Bucks are good, but they're also up and down. The Bulls have improved in leaps and bounds, getting DeRozan, but then they're also vulnerable in this. And they lost to the Sixers a couple times already. You know, you look at the Nets were strong, and now they're hopefully, going to make the playoffs.
The Sixers are 10-0 against the Bulls when Embiid plays.
Yeah, and so really, when you look at it, it's like the only team you really worry about in the Eastern Conference at this moment is the Miami Heat, because that team has been to the finals before. They're obviously playing well. They're healthy. They've gotten stronger. So this game coming up in a couple of days is going to show a lot as to where the Sixers are, if they stand a chance, this, that. But once you get to the playoffs, that's really, at this moment in the Eastern Conference, maybe the one team that I'm worried about, because when you look at the rest of them that are in contention, Sixers have beat them repeatedly. Like, it's not even close. Like, we spanked you, and then we spanked you again, and then again.
Just for right now, I'm worried about getting over that second round curse. Like, I feel comfortable in the first round, but it's like, I'll feel great once they can kind of exercise that demon of 4 straight
I'll be honest, man,
making the second round and losing.
If we had Harden at the free throw line last year, we're not losing to the Hawks.
if we would have just left Maxey in those games, and not have Simmons there, because
thank God.
What was it? Game 5, Maxey came in and had 18 points, and was the deciding factor in that game. Then the next game they go back to Ben Simmons. And then,
we see what happens from there. Like, that's what I mean. Thank God for Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is everything that at the time the Sixers front office thought Markelle Fultz was going to be. Let's be real.
He was supposed to be a top 10 pick, but because of things, I forget what the reasons was. I think he was hurt or something.
Yeah, like injuries and all court stuff. He dropped.
He dropped the 21 to us, and a buddy of mine was like, "Look at this guy Maxey from Kentucky. He's falling."
Yeah, that's what I said when we drafted him. I was like, "We stole this guy."
Yeah.
Even if you look at our like late picks in the first round compared to the 10 to 15
lottery ones,
picks, like the two that stand out are Thibault and Maxi, both
Mhm.
20 to 25 range guys. We get
Mhm.
them, and they're in the starting lineup. They've been
Yeah.
production for
And
2
everybody else
fully
is off the
3
team.
yeah.
It's like, who needs Jaleel Okafor and, Dario and Markel Fultz and Nerlens and all these other guys? We don't need them. We got Furkan and Tyrese.
We drafted that guy Springer this year. Where's he
Yeah.
been?
He's been up and down, like playing for the G League
Yeah.
team and then coming back, sitting the bench, and then playing for the G League team. But he hasn't really made a big splash on the
Yeah.
roster. Like,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're going to try to maybe pepper him in at the end of the season, depending on how these signings go. Like, with the guys who were bought out, if they do bring in Bazemore, they do bring in Jordan, they don't really need him. But if they don't, then maybe you decide to try to give him some run at the end of the year, see what you got. I don't know.
There's a lot of options that they have, and with them toying with the lineup, like I said, with not having to use all three guys all at the same time for the whole game, like you mentioned it, like at one point in time, they're trying to give these guys rests, and like Harden for 5 minutes, then Embiid comes out when Harden comes back in, and try and mix and match. This is the perfect time to like mess with your lineup, see what combinations you can come in, and get some sort of idea of what you're going to do once the playoffs start, because they're going to be in the playoffs right now. It looks like they're going to be a top 3 seed. Hopefully they get to the 1 spot, so they have home court throughout the playoffs.
Yeah,
but it's like,
hopefully they start winning at home, because I don't know what it is about the Sixers team. On the road the last couple of years, they have been unstoppable. At home, they barely win a fucking game. I don't know what it is. Are we just putting too much pressure on you in the Wells Fargo Center? I know Philly's a tough town, but you should be used to it by now.
in that series against Atlanta, they went 2-1 in Atlanta. It's that when they were playing at home,
they were getting kicked. They were getting the shit kicked out of them at home. Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see, like, down the stretch. It's going to be exciting either way. I'm definitely happy to see James Harden in the Sixers uniform producing the way that he is.
Yes.
This is something that we needed. If they are able to add to this team, good. But for certain, if you're in a game like against the Bucks and you've got a 20-30 point lead in the fourth quarter, you might as well throw Russ Springer out there and be like, "What you got, kid?" You might as well at this point, just to figure it out. Like, moving forward, if you're playing a team like that, you're up 20, 25, 30 points, then it's time to get the rookie out there and say, "Okay, show us what you can do." Regardless of who you sign. Because who knows, you may need this guy. He's on your roster. If you get to the playoffs, you might put him on your playoff roster, and then somebody gets hurt. You got to play him, and he barely played all game.
Yeah,
all season.
Yeah, looking at it yesterday, you had your starting 5. You had 6 points from Green, 6 from Nang, 6 from Milton, and then 3 from Reed. That was your bench. You had 21 points off your bench.
Yeah,
you got to do better than that.
Yeah,
and I mean, Reed got like the very last bucket of the game for the Sixers. Like with less than, it was like 30 seconds left in the game. It was kind of unnecessary, but he did it anyway. I was like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, I think you took my job. I didn't say a word for 10 minutes. I should have ran to. I'm hungry. I should have ran to Chick-fil-A, and I would have still had nothing to say. Danny boy, taking over. Cheers to you, bro.
Come on, Nick, give us something. Give us something.
Yeah,
you're feeling left out. Give us something. Throw something in there.
This is like New Japan. I feel like I'm giving you a first round pie in the New Japan.
Yeah. There you go.
Exactly.
Now Will Ospreay your ass, baby. What do we got? Chatty Cathy's over here. Even Maddie Daddy knows. My man. How you doing? Let's be honest. It was a lot of fun having you on, Dan. I think we should do this more often.
Oh, yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, man.
That's what I got to say.
Yeah, I think that's about all the time we have.
Unknown.
Which is fine. We're good. I think we covered enough. So I'm gonna give everybody a chance to let the people know out there where they can find you,
Yeah.
what you're doing, the whole nine. And I think this week, since Nick feels overlooked, we're going to start with Dan.
Danny boy.
Let the people know where they can find you on social media, where they can listen to you, where they can
Yeah.
get all your stuff if they don't, so they can tune into you too, because you have
Matt.
some great stuff going on.
Matty Daddy
Yeah.
says, Dan, you were over, bro.
Thanks so much. I
Way
try
over.
and live up to the Matty Daddy hype, and before I get
Right,
started,
it's hard to live up to that
Yeah.
Matty Daddy hype. I know.
You guys had a great episode that you put out the other day, and I want to give you guys props for it. It was a good listen when I listened to it.
Thank you.
Was that when I took over?
Yep, that's when you
right.
that's when you
Talk to
had
you later.
extra
Bye.
news.
Nikki's time to shine.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CageIQ. I do the Cage My IQ podcast. Me and a couple of my buddies just talk MMA, UFC. I do a bunch of 4-card breakdowns for UFC, for PFL, for Bellator. Do a bunch of videos. I also interview a lot of fighters. I just interviewed Miranda Maverick the other day, and I kind of started a Twitter beef between her and the last person that she fought. It was kind of funny because I interviewed her, and then the next thing I know, my buddy's like, "I think you started a Twitter beef because Aaron Blanchfield just made a IG post." And mentioned something from the podcast.
Here
and
comes the rematch. Thanks, Dan.
And I'm like, well, at least I know that fighters are watching my interviews now, so at least I'm getting some
good
coverage there.
Publicity.
Yeah, so you can check me out on Twitter there. You mentioned it earlier in the show. I'm partnered with the Fighters First Network on YouTube. You can find that at Fighters First. We got several podcasts on there. Yeah. MMA, kickboxing, wrestling, you name it, we got it when it has to do with combat sports. And you can find me on Facebook at Dan Bakley. I'm on there. But with that Twitter, I do primarily all my stuff off of the at Cage IQ.
All right. Yeah, definitely go follow this guy. Subscribe to his channel. He's putting out great shit, and really we love him, and we will definitely have you back. Now, Nikki, the floor is yours. Please tell everybody where they can find you, what you got coming. You know the drill.
Yes, sir. Dan, again, it was awesome. Thanks for being on.
It was great. It was wonderful.
You saved my pipes this week, so thank you.
That's what I was here for.
Yeah, because Nick's got a show tomorrow.
UW Pod. Excuse me, the UW Pod on Twitter.
Yes.
UW Podcast on Instagram. And we got a new episode out. It's with the former WWE creator writer. Dom, you've heard me say this 3, 4, 5, probably this entire month.
I don't care. You can keep saying it.
Promote. That's what we do here, brother. And then part 2 is going to come out next week, and that's even better, man. I mean, we get into Saudi, we go in deep when it comes to storylines and backstages. So
nice,
great time. Again, Dan, you're the man. Appreciate it.
Trying to live up to your hype.
Yeah,
all right. Well, yeah, you got to live up to that Nick hype. That's tough too. I can't live up to a Nick intro, so I got him working on one for us.
And then when you put Nick together with Matty Daddy on a podcast,
you might as well go home.
That's
you can't match that. It's like, I'm out. Even I can't match that. I'm a psycho.
I'm done. A week vacation here now.
Right. Yeah, but again, Dan, thank you so much, man. We will definitely have you back. This was great. Now, I do want to say tomorrow we have an amazing episode planned for you guys. We have the Temptress Witch herself, Ivy, showing up. She's going to be talking about her upcoming appearance in Coastal Championship Wrestling in Nashville for their Meltdown event. It's going to be great. We've got so much more planned. So come back tomorrow night, the same channel, around 8 o'clock. We'll all be here, me, Grandma, the High Class One, the Temptress Witch. We're going to throw down. You can ask her questions. You can get involved in our live chats. You can have fun with it. And for And for as far as podcasts go, you can pretty much find us wherever pods are distributed. But if you want one-stop shopping for this show, hit anchor.fm/FoxDen. You're going to see all our episodes from all the Fox Den production shows that we've done. Some of them are dated, and then there's this one. You'll also see all our platforms. So if you don't want to listen there, if you're into your Spotify's, Apple, whatever the fuck, we got you covered from there too. And for Top Rope, same thing, anchor.fm/TRWT. You'll see the same thing. You can pick a platform where you can listen there. And of course, if you are listening to us after the fact, we missed you. Where the hell were you? Show up in the live chat. Come to TRWT parentheses of Fox Den John, JAWN. It's a Philly thing, y'all, because it's mine. You will see the Sports Syndicate. You will see Top Rope on that channel. You'll see a couple other shows that we do sporadically, like Brucey and I do a show called Shooting the Shit, where we come on. I think last episode we were talking about when we were growing up, thinking that we were cool and just epically failing. Like it's fun. We have a good time with it. There's a lot of YouTube exclusive content that you're not going to get on audio podcast platforms. Like we maybe TRWT has maybe 100 episodes on audio platform. We have like 50 more YouTube exclusives. So come to TRWT parentheses Fox Den John, subscribe, ring the bell, and that way when we do come back for this show, or like tomorrow when we come back with Ivy, you'll be the first to know. You can tune in, you can ask your questions, you can tell us to do stupid shit. Anything goes with this shit, man. I once told Michael P.S. Hayes to go fuck himself in a live chat because he called me out. And then I told him I'd beat him in a bingo hall for a street fight. Nick is my witness. Anything goes. So that's all we have this week. Again, thank you to the gaggle in the live chat for showing up and showing out. Thank you again, of course, to Dan. And since he feels unloved, thank you, of course, to Nikki, who I let say now today because I do love him, and we definitely didn't want to save your pipes. We'll be working your voice box next week, and we will be seeing you next week. So until then, everybody have a safe weekend. Enjoy your pay-per-views, enjoy your fights, enjoy your basketball games, whatever it is. Date nights, yes, please. If you got the wife or you got the girlfriend, don't leave her out because Lord knows you've been on the couch watching football for like 4 or 5 fucking months now. So date nights if you got to, and meet us back here next week for another wonderful edition of the Sports Syndicate Podcast. Peace, y'all.